a Australian comedian has been fired from his radio job for jokes that he told about the women's football team here in Australia. Triple M host Marty Sheargold departs after being condemned for comparing the Matildas to Year 10 girls. The Matildas, of course, are our formerly amazing female soccer team, which have become terrible after we lost Sam Kerr. All right, Sam Kerr's out there in England crushing it, all right? Calling cops stupid and white and vomiting in taxis like an Australian sporting legend. We lost our captain, dear captain, and now our team sucks. We lost 4-0 to I'm not going to pretend that I know who beat them, all right? It is at the end of the day, all right? Look, not only is it soccer, it's also women's soccer. I don't care about the men's. Anyway, luckily I can't be fired from my own podcast. The Matildas captain, Triple M host Marty Sheargold is departing the network after being condemned for comments he made about the Matildas. He said on his drive show on Monday that by the way, this is on radio. He said on his drive show on Monday that he would rather hammer a nail through the head of his penis than watch Australia's national women's football team in next year's Asian Cup. He also asked, got any men's sport? Look, that's not... Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say, all right? Now, if you're a comedian, tell your jokes, okay? If he was on stage, I'll be like, go Marty, right? Here's the thing. If you are an Australian media personality and you work on TV or radio, you have to pretend to care about women's sport. You have to. It's an unspoken rule. If you are out there denigrating women's sport and you have a job that someone can take from you, you're a fucking moron. Everyone got the memo during the Olympics that the first person to talk shit about women's sport was going to get the axe. That happened during the Olympics. You don't remember? All right? We all love the Matildas. I loved them, all right? When they were in the Olympics because they were crushing it and they were good. Now they suck, all right? I don't care. I also don't give a fuck about the men's team either, all right? Here's the thing. Why would I watch the men's team of any international sport from Australia? Let's be real. Why the fuck would I watch any team from Australia other than like tennis and swimming? That's the only thing that we can really do. And we used to be good at soccer, but then we lost Sam Kerr. Now we suck. We are still good at spewing in taxis and abusing the drivers and the cops and disgracing ourselves overseas as Australian sports stars should. But you got to be an absolute fucking moron to be talking shit about women's sport when you have a job that someone can take from you, all right? This was always going to happen. Every single person in the Australian media know the unspoken rule, and that is you have to pretend to give a fuck about the women's sport here. You either lie and say that you love it, or you fucking say nothing. If you say I'd rather hammer a nail through the end of my penis than watch women's sport, you're gonna lose your job. Like, of course you are. Now, I'm not arguing for censorship. I'm just telling you, obviously this was gonna happen. You gotta be an idiot. You have to pretend to like women's sport. Listen to me. This is me on the project. I love the AFLW. Now, of course, I don't even like the men's AFL. All right? That sport sucks, dude. Most sports are fucking boring. I like UFC, and I love the women's UFC. That's going to be my two favorite sports. I'm going to be honest with you. The most exhilarating time I've ever had watching sport has been watching women's UFC and women's diving. Because there's a 14-year-old little Chinese girl who fucking mops the floor with the rest of the world. Because if she doesn't do it, she doesn't get to go home to mommy and daddy. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, unless we start, I don't know, imprisoning young girls in training camps to make them good at soccer, what's the point of watching? You think we're going to beat an Italian? No. If I was fucking European, there is no fucking way I would give a fuck about my European Australian Football Rules League women's team or men's team, because I know they would get trashed by the Australians because that's their sport. Just the same as I don't give a fuck about the women's soccer or the men's soccer. But if I had a job on radio or television, I tell you what, I'd be a big fan of the women's soccer. Don't get it twisted. I hate both genders of both gendered versions of that sport. If they introduced non-binary soccer, I wouldn't watch that shit either. Z's got the ball. Everyone knows the unspoken rule in this country, and that is if you are in mainstream media, you have to pretend to care about women's sport. And you know who is really good about pretending to care about women's sport? Every woman and every woman on radio and television. If you watch any TV show where they talk about a controversy to do with a woman's team, someone talking shit about the team, the loudest voices in support of the women's team are always, obviously, the women. All right? They're always talking about how much they love women's soccer and they love AFLW. But you never see them at the fucking games. You only see them talking about how much they love it on the project or on radio, but they never go to the fucking games. The women are the best at pretending to care about women's sport. Now, I don't think that during a radio drive show at 4 p.m. on a Monday, when mums and dads are doing the pickup from school, I don't think you should be saying that I'm going to nail the head of my penis through a desk. like I've been on radio. I was on radio for 2 years. And I'm me, all right? You've heard this show. There's no fucking way I would talk about nailing the head of my penis through anything for any reason. This is the biggest self-own ever. I don't think that people should fucking lose their jobs for not liking women's sport, but you also definitely can't be talking about nailing the head of your dick through something on fucking drive radio when ads are trying to sell fucking fridges to mums. All right? This is the thing about radio in Australia. It's fucked. It's completely fucked, and the only demographic that advertisers care about when it comes to radio are mums, all right? This is the most valuable demographic. Women control the spending in households, so mums control the spending and control what gets bought and paid for. So the only people that are cared about in radio are women, because that's where the money comes from, because that's who the advertisers want. That's why all breakfast shows and all drive shows feature like a very likable older woman and then men who women like, because that's what makes money. So that's who you have to appeal to. So you can't be talking about nailing your cock to the table instead of watching these fucking bitches kick a ball. You're gonna lose your job. He said that they looked like year 10 girls out there. Now, look, they suck right now. This is what frustrates me about the women's sport thing, is that, although, you know what? I guess the women have a fucking point, all right? Here I am being like, oh, women want to get into sport, but they don't like how men talk about sport. And then how men talk about sport is like a huge reason why I don't like sport. Like, I think it's fucking silly that you can go to a game wearing one of the team's jersey, and if you're in the minority, you could lose your teeth that night. Right? Yeah, we've all seen the fucking videos of like, it happens, and it's all cultures. It happens in America, it happens in Europe with soccer, it happens in England. It happens in Australia with AFL, right? Where someone will just get piss poured on them for wearing the wrong jersey. Now, that is a contributing factor to me not wanting to engage with it at all. All right? So maybe the women have a point, and maybe we need to get this toxic masculinity out of sport. Men are like, oh, we're going to let women play sport, but I get to belittle them if they suck and be mean about it. But you know what? That wouldn't have any fucking power if women went to the games and if it was full of arenas. And the Olympics doesn't count, all right? I know, I'm sure the Olympics was great for women's soccer. Absolutely, all right? That's good. But if you go to the Olympics, they'll fill an arena for the shooting, all right? No one gives a fuck about shooting when the Olympics isn't on. The only country regularly engaging in the sport of shooting is Americans in their high schools. All right? So I don't want to hear anything about like, oh, we supported the Matildas during the Olympics. Everyone supported every fucking team during the Olympics for every sport. I watched the women's diving. All right? We all watched a woman dance like a kangaroo for breakdancing and we tried to like her. We were disappointed that she was shit at breakdancing. It's not even a real sport. All right? Women, you got to go out there and buy the tickets to the fucking games. Instead of getting on TV and being upset that men don't like it. That said, what Marty Sheargold said was, I don't know, it was like, you know what it was? If he was at a comedy night, totally fine. But you are dumb as fuck for saying that shit on radio because the unspoken rule is you must care about women's sport. And every single even if you're on Triple M, if for foreign listeners is like, you like that? I've picked that up from the Chinese. Chinese people call everyone who's not Chinese a foreigner. All right, because I've been posting on Red Note, Zhao Hongshu. All right, they call everyone who's not Chinese a foreigner, and I think that every country should start doing that. All right, if you're not from here, you're a foreigner. All right, so foreigners who listen to this podcast who may not understand the culture here in Australia, like us natives would, us indigenous to the land, me and my incredibly white brothers and sisters who, if we go outside, we get fucking turned orange by the sun. Anyway, what am I saying? Triple M is like the blokes and sport and beer and footy and gambling. Like, yeah, fucking, and rock. We only play rock music. It's what the tradies used to listen to before Spotify. Now they mainly just put on like a playlist that you would expect to hear while on ecstasy, except it's fucking 6 a.m. on a Friday morning, and you're building a roof. That's what these tradies listen to. Meanwhile, the boss who's like 50, his fingers have stopped working because he's hit them too many times with his own hammer. He's going, why can't we put Triple M on? Well, because Triple M used to be good, but now you can't even belittle women on it, so it sucks. That's why, boss. Anyway, do you want to hear what the radio said? It's about that. And this is a little bit inside baseball with radio. I used to work for the same company that employed this bloke. The Hit Network is like the big money maker for this business, but they also own Triple M. So Hit is like the mum market. That's for mums, and mums have all the money, and mums are who advertisers want to target, and it's mums. Mums, funny enough, fucking hate it when blokes belittle women's sport, even though they don't go to the games. So they will stand up for women's sport in every way other than buying a ticket. I'm being facetious here. So here's what they said. Southern Cross Oz Stereo, that's the company that owns Hit and Triple M, takes it. Listen to this statement, all right? They're telling you why he got fired. It's not for the comments. Southern Cross Oz Stereo takes its responsibility to listeners, shareholders, and clients seriously. And its programming should align with the standards and expectations of its audience, right? So That's the thing, all right? It's the shareholders and the clients, and really it's about the clients, because if the client's unhappy, the shareholders get no money, and then there is no one to attract an audience to, because no one can pay the fucking bills. Radio can't afford to lose even one more advertiser over sexist comments, all right? They can't. And here's the thing, there's a big conglomerate of people in Australia, there's a big lobby. I think they call themselves witches, and they've been very, very successful in campaigning advertisers to stop their campaigns on radio when commentators say sexist things, right? And it's specifically targeted at sexists. They've been very successful against the Kyle and Jackie O show, the highest paid radio show in Australia, despite the fact that they don't get enough advertisers to pay their incredibly high salaries, but their contracts are so bulletproof that even if they were to get fired, they would get paid out the entire amount, right? And here's the thing. These people, they call themselves witches, right? This isn't my term, this is theirs. I'm like, these witches, this is their terminology. They'll go out and they'll contact mattress companies and beer companies and this companies and that companies. And the thing is, you might say, well, Triple M is for boys, so what advertisers could this women focus group hurt, right? Because correctly so, the men focus companies don't give a fuck what Marty Sheargold says about women's soccer, right? They don't give a fuck. Their audience doesn't give a fuck. But these companies don't pay as much money as Toyota, as Honda, as the fucking mattress companies, as the insurance companies, and all these other companies that the witches are smart enough to actually target, right? So they'll go over to companies that are advertising to women on the Hit Network, and they'll go, why are you allowing this guy on a different network that you don't advertise with, right, to talk shit about women's sport? Your brand is going to be associated with this unless you do something. And even though this company isn't paying money to Triple M, they are paying money to SCA, which owns both networks, and they'll go, hey, get rid of this sexist shit, Marty loses his job. And that's why, if you're in mainstream media, you have to pretend to like women's sport. The women are very good at this. They all talk about how much they love the AFLW. You won't see them at a fucking game, but they will speak up every time a man says it's boring. Actually, women's sport is so good that I don't have to go and see it. I just know that it is. And look, I think that women's sport needs a lot more resources. I think it needs a lot more money invested into it. And I think that it will be like a fucking juggernaut like 10 to 20 years from now, when all the little girls who are like 5 and 6 right now grow up to fucking play it and be really good at it. I think they just need time to like mature and shit, and they will start commanding salaries to compete with the men if the women see the games. All right, so this is their statement. Right now, it's clear that this is a moment for reflection and review. Triple M and the wider SCA network will take all necessary steps to support staff. A new drive show will be announced in due course. That sucks because everyone loses their job. One guy says something fucked, everyone loses their job. How guilty would you feel? And then this is Marty's statement. Having mutually agreed. Yeah, what, mutually? You said I would rather nail my cock to the table than watch women do anything other than cooking. Then what did you think after that riff? You left after fucking pulling out that one out of your bag, and you were like, you know what? I reckon it's time to retire on that one. That was a real career high for me. I reckon that was probably my peak. I think I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, mutually agreement. He said, I would rather nail my cock to a fucking table than pay attention to what any of these stupid women are doing. All right, I think it's time to end my career with that because I'm retiring. What do you think, boss? No, please stay, Marty, please. Having mutually agreed to part ways with the Triple M network, I fully understand the gravity of my comments, Sheargold said in a statement. I'd like to sincerely apologise to the Matildas and the broader organisation. A deeply disappointed Football Australia issued a statement earlier on Wednesday. Such remarks only diminish the extraordinary achievements and contributions of our women's national football team. Yeah, the contributions and achievements from the Olympics, not now, they suck. Boo! Where's Sam Kerr? Bring it back. But also failed to recognize the profound impact they've had on Australian sport and society. That is true. Like, genuinely, that part is true. It's a bloody shame it hasn't lasted though. Where is everyone? Where are all the fans? They show up when some bald bloke says they suck, but they don't go to the games after the Olympics. What you really need to do is you like women need to like really watch how men respond to their team sucking. All right, it's like their team sucks and it ruins their whole fucking week. All right, it's like, oh, my football team sucks. That means that I, as a person, have no self-worth. I think I'm going to drink and drive. Like that's what we really need more of to get women's sport going. The problem with here's why women's sport will never ever work, even if they become better than the men. All right, let's imagine a scenario where women get better at sport than men. Unfortunately, this utopia has had a couple of setbacks ever since Donald Trump banned some trans queens from playing women's sport. But once we get that reversed, we'll be able to imagine a world where women are just as good as men. Women's sport will never be as big as men's sport because women are smarter than men and they don't gamble. Chinese women excluded. The problem with women's sport is that women aren't fucking degenerate animals like men are. Men's sport is so big because men are fucking oafs, all right? It all comes down to the advertising dollar, all right? And unfortunately, ladies, if you really want to support women's sport, not only do you have to buy tickets to the game, all right? Sorry to break the news to you, but you're also going to have to start problem drinking and gambling because that's where the real money is. If you want equality of pay, you're going to have to start punting the mortgage. That's what's really going to get those advertiser dollars in, all right? The reason why men's sport is so big and why the salaries are so high is because fucking concreters who are 19 years old are putting their super on the line for a fucking multi that they don't even understand. They're putting fucking $100 on the Bombers to win the grand final and a guy they've never heard of to win the world championships at darts in the same bet. So until women have 3 sports bets apps on their phones, women's sport will never be big. Because there's not enough money. That's the real issue here, is that women are too smart to fucking punt their life away on stupid games. The reason why men's sport is so big is because we're fucking stupid. Dumb enough to get on radio and talk about nailing your cock to a desk instead of listening to women when women are the entire reason you have a salary at all. Because I can tell you right now, Triple M isn't making very much money. All right? Because not many blokes are listening anymore because no man does any domestic labor like dropping the kids off to school. And here's the thing. This is why people lose their jobs so quick on radio, because it is so fucking easy to get the advertising manager to stop advertising on radio, because I'll tell you a little secret.
Those ads don't fucking work. The rating system isn't real. No one's listening, and the only people who are listening are fucking taxi drivers that don't really speak the language, and they're drunken passengers who are vomiting in the back seat and then punching on with a cop.
That's the entire fucking house of cards of radio. Anyway, I really liked working there. It was actually a genuinely fun job, and I do miss it. But I think we got in 10 years too late. Anyway, I make more money on Patreon than I was ever paid in radio, because there's no money there at all. Anyway, what else do we have here? Sheargold went on a rant which included factual inaccuracies about the topic of the Matildas. There's something wrong with the Matildas, Sheargold said. Factually incorrect. There's nothing wrong with them. They're perfect in every way. And they had that wonderful tournament out here, the 2023 Women's World Cup, where we all fell in love with them. Even though they didn't make the quarters, the team made the semi-finals. You know what they remind me of? Year 10 girls, he added, to laughter in the background. All the infighting and all the friendship issues, the coach hates me and I hate bloody training and Michelle's being a bitch. Now, I'm sorry to undermine the whole sport, but that's what I think of it, so you can stick it up your ass. Hey, brother, you're on the radio. You can't say that shit. You get fired for saying that stuff. If you don't want to get fired for saying things, you got to have a podcast, all right? Part of the deal of getting paid $2 million a year to talk to fucking no one is that you can't say anything. Because the moment you say something, then some people start listening. And those people go, I don't like this guy. I'm going to ask Toyota, do you guys think you're really getting a fucking, getting your investment back on the Triple M Drive show? And then the advertising manager who's been asleep at the wheel fucking looks at the spreadsheets and goes, we give $5 million a quarter to Triple M? Why? No one listens to that. I'm going to put it into fucking Google ads where I can actually see the click-through rate and I actually know how many people are actually seeing the ads. That's a much better use of my $5 million. It's a fucking house of cards. The whole thing's fucked. TV and radio in this country are, everyone's pretending that anyone's listening, and it's all a lie to trick advertisers who don't understand how radio works into spending their boss's money on ads that no one hears. And that's why you have to pretend that women's sport is good. Ellis and Will Radson attempted to continue talking about the She Believes Cup when Sheargold interjected, oh, she believes in what? It better be men. That's not funny. Ah, fuck. See, if a woman ran this podcast, my equipment wouldn't be falling apart. The federal sports minister, Annika Wells, labelled the comments as boorish, boring, wrong, while PFA chief executive Bo Bush described the remarks as disgusting, pathetic, and deeply misogynistic. The Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, I thought the Minister for Women was Tony Abbott. Remember when he gave himself that job? What a fucking idiot. The Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, said derisory commentary should be responded to in the harshest possible way. I mean, should it? Former Hockey Ruse player Ambrosia Malone posted an excerpt on the program on Instagram, saying that all she could think of while listening to the show, which was broadcast in primetime, was the young girls sitting in the car with their parents, maybe on the way to or from their own training sessions, and hearing this. Yeah, that's fair, all right? When you are a drive show, you're performing, you're a children's entertainer. I fell in love with radio on my way to and from school and to and from tennis. That's like a huge part of me. That's why a huge part of me decided to be a comedian, because me and Mum would listen to Dave Hughes, Hughesy and Kate on the breakfast radio TV show. That's literally true. I grew up on fucking Hughesy and Kate. I got a joke book here somewhere from when I was 12 years old that Hughesy has signed. That's how much I loved it. I used to listen to Cal Wilson, rest her soul, and Ed Cavalier and Akmal. At 4 p.m. after school, I put a radio in my bedroom because I thought that was so funny. I listened to that every day because I loved it. All right? And I would imagine that if I were a little girl who wanted to be good at soccer because they saw Sam Kerr until she betrayed our nation and joined England, I would probably be pretty heartbroken to hear some bloke say women's soccer sucks. And unfortunately, like, that's the audience that you're speaking to. You're speaking to mums and little girls when you're on the radio, so you gotta fucking shut your mouth and play nice. if you want to say dumb, ignorant shit in a comedic way, the only place there's room for that with enough context to get away with it is a podcast or a YouTube video. You know? Where, like, your audience is listening. I've told plenty of jokes about women's sport now, but I have enough room to go, yeah, but, like, here's what I actually think. When you're on radio, you've got fucking 3.5 minutes before the next Toyota ad break that no one hears. So all you have time to say is like, oh, women suck. I'd rather nail my dick to a board than listen to them. Hey, it's Triple M. Anyway, here's Toyota. You can't do that shit. It's an inherently creatively limiting medium. Tom Samani, the interim Matildas coach, get a woman in there. He's doing a bad job. Said Sheargold's words were completely unnecessary and generally outrageous. As sporting teams, we're used to criticism, but sometimes the comments cross the line, and that one certainly did cross the line. Earlier on Wednesday, Sheargold and Triple M issued apologies. This is before he got fired. They're testing the waters. Let's see if those bitches believe this. That's what they typed. That's what they thought before they typed this out. As sporting teams, any comedy, including mine, can miss the mark sometimes. And I can see why people may have taken offense at my comments regarding the Matildas. I sincerely apologize. A Triple M statement said the comments do not align with Triple M's views and values, and Triple M remains steadfast in its strong support of all women's and men's sports. No, it doesn't. It's Triple M. Like, that's the fucking... Let's be real. Either let's be real about what Triple M is, or fucking kill the whole station. Triple M is blokes, beers, sports, footy, gambling. We don't want to listen to our bitch wife. We want to punt on the footy. That's the station. It has to be that, or we have to retire it. Someone didn't tell Marty Sheargold that you can't hate chicks on Triple M. And if you can't hate chicks on Triple M, get rid of it. Change it to Triple W. No one's listening to this shit anyway. No one's going to be like, oh, I miss Triple M. I can get Led Zeppelin on Spotify. I can listen to Metallica and hate chicks on Spotify. What do we need Triple M for? Anyway, I used to be on Triple M. Modern Digital. We sincerely apologize for any offense or distress caused. Matilda's fall to another She Believes Cup defeat after horror start against... Horror start? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? The Guardian. Mike Hittner from the Guardian. Horror start, you sexist pig. That's our women's soccer team. They need to be spoken about with more respect. The Matildas are widely credited with inspiring a new generation. This is better. This is much better. All right. Thank you for listening, Mike. The Matildas are widely credited with inspiring a new generation of young girls and boys after their run to the semi-finals of the World Cup on home soil captured the imagination of the nation. They have broken barriers, set new standards, and elevated the game to unprecedented heights. Their success has been instrumental in transforming women's sport in Australia, and they deserve to be covered with the respect and professionalism they have earned. That's right. If you win a few games a few years ago and you suck now, you're not allowed to acknowledge that you're bad at the game now. You have to be like, remember when they were good? When Sam Kerr was part of the team? Remember when they were good? I think this is the problem with the women's sport thing, is that you shouldn't focus on. Yeah, it's amazing what they did in the Olympics. They didn't win, but it is amazing and it's fucking awesome, and they got close, and that's an incredible achievement. All right, but I don't give a fuck who won the grand final of the AFL 3 years ago. All right, I care about who's good and who's shit now. So we should be covering, like, what's going on right now. Every time I hear about the fucking women's Socceroos team, it's like, remember the Olympics? I don't give a fuck about that anymore. I'm not there. I cared then. Be good now. Or at least introduce some fucking drama. So many people support shit teams, alright? You look at me, I'm a founding member of the Tasmanian Tigers. They don't even exist yet, they're that shit, and I'm a #1 supporter. I'm the official podcast of the Tasmanian Tigers AFL team. And if there was a women's team, I'd be the #1 fan. I'd be the only fan. This incident is a stark reminder of the responsibility media outlets and personalities have in fostering respectful and constructive discussions about women's sports and its participants. This is the quiet bit, all right? This is the shit that everyone in media understands is the rule other than Marty Sheargold, all right? Read this. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to translate it, all right? So this is their official, this is what the media is saying, all right? This is the message to the media. This incident is a stark reminder of the responsibility media outlets and personalities have in fostering respectful and constructive discussions about women's sport and its participants. That means pretend you like women's sport or you're fucked. I almost said the naughty word. Are you proud of me? I almost said the naughty C, but I didn't because I want this podcast to be monetized and listened to. God, if I had any mainstream opportunity right now, you know I'd be losing it next week. No, I wouldn't, because I'm smart enough to say I love women's sport, and I actually think it's better than the men's. You know what? I'll say this: I don't like sport generally. Swimming's all right. I like women's diving. Men's diving's boring. They're all too big. Women's diving is where it's at. You watch fucking 14-year-old Chinese girl do a triple flip into like water from 10 meters up. She doesn't make a splash. Change your life. You'll be looking at Italy going, go home, bitch, you suck. Sorry. Give it your best shot, queen. You know what? Maybe the women are right. Maybe the problem with women's sport, or not the problem that women's sport has is that because men have been in charge of playing and being a fan of sport for so long, the world actually doesn't know how to enjoy sport in a non-toxic way. Like, maybe the women are right. Maybe we would all have a lot more fun if we all came together and win or lose, had a good time. Remember that in school? Right? It doesn't matter if you win or lose. What matters is you tried your best and you had a good time. Like, what if when your team loses, you just went, well, the other team played very well, didn't they? And you turn to your left and you hug the other guy wearing the opposite team's jersey. Wouldn't that be nicer? Maybe the women have a point here. I mean, they're not going to the game, so we'll never know. But there could be a better way to enjoy women's sport and men's sport too. Women, lead by example. I know you won't go to the games, but you know, you will complain. Anyway, what have we got? The Matildas complete their She Believes Cup campaign against Colombia on Wednesday in San Diego on Thursday morning. And you know what? I bet they'll use this to help fuel their inevitable win. But if they don't win, as long as they had a try. So yeah, what I think is I don't like seeing comics lose their job for telling jokes. I don't think he was serious. But I will say that that's the dumbest possible thing you could say on radio and on television. And I would say that if you want to say stuff like that, it's actually a blessing that you've lost your job, because like a guy ripping out one of those, you've got to think that he must have been censoring the fuck out of himself 24/7. Which I mean, I worked in radio. I didn't feel censored. I saw it as a challenge to try and be funny without all of the swearing and all of the super off-color topics that I like playing with. I think it made me heaps funnier. But ultimately, it's just like, it's not nice to have a boss when you are this is going to so, this is going to sound so fucking wanky. It's not nice to have a boss when you're an artist. But it's not. Did I really just fucking read a quote of a guy saying he was going to nail the head of his penis through his table and be like, that guy's an artist? Well, Van Gogh cut his ear off, so, you know, so what if you split your dick in half instead of watching women have fun? He's an artist. Yeah, look. I think it was the dumbest possible thing you could say when you're in mainstream media. If you're in mainstream media, you have to like women's sport. And if you don't, you don't actually have to like it. You have to say that you like it. You don't actually have to go to the games. Because none of the most vocal defenders will ever fucking talk about how much they love women's sport while at a stadium watching women's sport. They'll always do it behind a desk at the project or on their radio show the next day, having never seen more than like a couple of 15-second TikToks about women's sport to catch them up on the latest news about them. So yeah, I'd go and see a women's sport game. I think that that would be good. All right. So anyway, we've got some good news here. We've got some really good news, and for the first time ever, some like really really good news about Israel-Palestine. Since all of this kicked off, Donald Trump's going to turn it into a utopia. Have you guys seen this? He released an AI-generated video of his vision for Gaza. It's a very short video and has a lot of different flashes of different scenes. But we've got Elon Musk, and money is falling from the sky on top of him and a bunch of other men and women seated around a table having mimosas. So that will be pretty good. I'm sure that all of the Gazans watching at home, if they have the internet, are probably loving this. We've got another video of Donald Trump looking quite obese. I don't think he'd be happy with that. Dancing with a woman that is not his wife in what looks to be a casino. We've also got a golden idol statue of Donald Trump in the middle of the Holy Land. So, for all my Pentecostal Christians who don't like the Antichrist, I'm sure you're all up in arms about that. And we've got a couple of children. What else do we have? We've got Donald Trump and Netanyahu lounging in the sun by the pool next to what looks like a couple of Gold Coast hotels. Having a beer and a drink together. So we've got BB and Trump. We also have belly dancers with tits and beards. So I guess that's where they're going to put all of the trans soldiers. They're taking all the trans soldiers out of the US military and they're going to station them in Palestine to protect Trump Gaza. And then finally, we've got Trump Gaza. It looks like a Disneyland type merchandise store where you can buy golden idols of God Emperor Donald Trump, the Antichrist. I assume they're trying to signal here. And then finally, we have Trump Gaza, which looks to be a casino. Now, my first biggest glaring issue with Trump Gaza at the casino there is that most people in Palestine are actually not old enough to gamble. So they won't be allowed into Trump Gaza. Not that it looked like they were ever going to be allowed back into Gaza, even if there wasn't a casino there. But, you know, have they considered that they might have to lower the legal age of gambling to be able to fund this Trump Gaza casino? That might present a couple of issues. I also think that maybe another slight issue, small issue here, is are we recording? Fuck!
Bro, do you know how fucking dumb? I take back everything I said then and everything I've ever said about women. I'm taking it all back because I'm so fucking stupid
that when I was yelling about women's sport, I fucking bashed the microphone off the thing and muted it, and then I talked for another 20 fucking minutes. Fuck! Man, and I literally, you didn't hear this because my microphone was muted, but I said if my podcast was run by a woman, the set wouldn't be falling apart.